됐어?
네.
I'm so pleased to present my papers, writing with Ji-Yeon, Dr. Ji-Yeon and Ms. Choi. We have belonged to some Korean school, Korean universities, Sung-Si universities. The title is Compassionate Rationalism Leadership Questionnaire as the measurement scale for the leadership of compassionate rationalism in lifelong education. So as you know, as you see, our contents, our paper's contents is composed of the several sectors, starting with the introduction and the literature review and the methodologies, research, discussion, the conclusion, and we are add up some of the references for these papers. So as a part of the starting point, let me tell about the definition of the compassionate rationalism leadership. That is explained by some phrase. Leadership which is based on the rationalism but shows a compassion depending on the special situation or special context. Our study will have some necessities. Well, the purpose for the study is three things. First of all, we are looking for some settlement of the CRL, compassionate rationalism leadership conceptualization in lifelong education. And second one is to provide a new theoretical and field-oriented leadership framework and a model in lifelong education, the training in Korea. Last one is to provide the empirical basis for activating general leadership research. So, if we see some of the literature reviews based on some previous studies, as for the rationalism paradigms, we're just focusing on several things. Including the predict and the control, the manner of the predict and the control based on the rationalism paradigm. But the rationalism paradigm just itself has some limitation to explain or to cover up some several things in the world. It is a lack of the reasoning, the difficulties of the pursuing the collective rationalities as a general things. As a matter of the fact, the organization is likely to be wrong in making a judgment. And there must be some changeability of the rationality on the context and the lack of resources, as you see in our world. And in general things, there must be too much as bad as a true leader. And the first things to indicate the limitation as for some compassionate paradigm in itself, the compassionism is defined as some openness towards the tolerance of the other's pain. We are likely to go with some of the others' pain, or together with some of their specific situation. So there must be some limitation in as regard to some compassionate paradigm. That is objectives. How to be objective in making a decision, or how to behave in our organizational behavior. Okay, so as a result, we are arriving at some kind of conclusion. So together with the compassionism and the rationalism, that is titled compassionate rationalism. Just based on the rationalism in general things, we have to come up with some kind of compassion to make a perfect. Okay, to arrive at the complete leadership concept. Okay, that is a compassionate rationalism. Okay, so that is rationalism paradigm takes a responsibility for the main part, but in addition, sometimes we need some compassionate leadership paradigm to take a rest, to complete. Okay. So based on some kind of literature review, together with some basic concept of the computational rationalism, so we like to introduce some how we take a procedures for our study. That is some methodologies. Okay. So we applied a lot of some kind of statistical measures, like starting with the participants. Okay, so motivating about the 692 number of the participants, like this. So we have taken some of the process, starting with analyzing previous studies, up to some conducting main surveys. We have to take steps, the 5 steps, 5 stages we have go through. So we have the statistical analysis applying with some, including the SPSS 19.0 and Amos software, and also we just focus on the several things, including the EFA, the CFA, and the checking the internal consistency, Cronbach alpha coefficient. So what was the result for our studies? We just have done the EFA like this and the CFA. As a result, we have seen some kind of computational rationalism leadership with a reference to some hierarchical estimate model like this. Okay, so we luckily we just got some 8 resources, some kind of variables. As for the compassionism, we have got some 4 factors to explain the compassionism, and also as for the rationalism, we have also the 4 kinds of the variables. Okay. So we have seen some correlation between the factors, 8 factors, including the compassionate. Computational rationalism. Okay. So we have tried to make a definition of about the structure factors. Just like as you see for the rationalisms, we have defined some to name the sub factors. Starting with including the rational estimate of the situation, and the strategic prediction, and the logical problem solving, and the optimal administrative control. The definitions for them is shown like this. On the other hand, the compassionism also has 4 sub-factors. I mean, there's some latent variables, including the empower based on trust, empathic consideration, tolerant humanities, and also the finally altruistic cooperation. Okay, each sub-factors has their own definition like this. Okay. And also we made some kind of questionnaire like this. The composition of the total number of the questions, that is 55 questions, to measure some computational rationalism leadership. Okay. These questions has question numbers like starting with the number 1 through the 55, like this. Okay. So as for the rationalisms, starting with the number 1, 9, 17, 25, 30, 33, 41, standing for the rational estimate of the situation. And for the strategic predictions, 2, 10, 18, 26, 34, 42, 48. So all have the list of sub-factors has all the question numbers, just composed of the 4 or the 5 or the 6 questions sometimes. So that makes it 55 questions totally. Okay. So how we can make a discussion over the conclusions? Okay, for our study, this study has the following significance. We just found out that a lot of the significant meanings, including our study has defined the concept of the CRL, standing for the compassionate rationalism leadership, based on my previous studies, and developed the measuring the truth of the CRL. The second thing is CRLQ, the question for the compassionate rationalism leadership, confirmed that 8-dimensional leadership, I mean some of the latent variables, okay, 8-dimensional leadership between the rationalism and the compassionate paradigm show the strength and the weakness by self-evaluation. If you try some kind of your tendency or the inclination about the compassionate rationalism, making use of the CRLQ, you can find something yourself, your inclination. And this could be utilized as educational content. Okay? The next one is CRLQ raise the validity of the research methods. So it just guarantees some kind of the significance or the reliabilities or the validities, okay? Just based on the statistical analysis. And the last one, the final thing is continuous expansion as a new field of research in lifelong education. And it just provide the leading data as a springboard for these studies. So we are quite sure that our study will be a forerunner or some of the basis for the further studies in measuring your inclination or your leadership style, okay, making use of the CRLQs. There's a final conclusion or some of the significance we could get. Okay, there are a lot of the references we made use of for our studies. Okay, thank you. Any question? Yeah, the computational rationalism leadership to measure some of your leadership style is composed of the 55 questions I told you. Okay, so starting with the number 1, for examples, I can make a proper decision in the face of uncertainties and insufficient information. There's a question just for the standard for the rationalism, okay, to measure. And the second one is I deal with the dangerous situation with agility without embarrassment. There's also a question to stand for some style on the side of the rationalism. Okay. So like this, we have suggested 55 questions as a result of the statistical analysis, especially with a reference to some of the fact analysis. Okay, yeah. So just to keep in mind the 55 questions and 2 measures, okay, to help you. What would be your leadership style? Okay. With a reference to with a special reference to the computational rationalism leadership. Okay, so just to try to make a measures, good, making use of the CRLQ later. Okay, thank you.